Hello, my dear students. Happy Deepavali to one and all. The Deepavali, festival of light, light which shows sight, which shows path, which shows direction, which tells us, reminds us goals and objectives of our life. So, wishing you once again a very happy Deepavali. I welcome you all for today's session. This is Chemistry Cinema Hall, where this side S block elements are allowed to sit, and these seats are reserved for P elements, and these for D, and the bottom one for the F. On what ground these seats are reserved in the chemistry cinema hall? It depends on the valence electron enters in which shell. Okay, if the outermost electron enters S orbital, they are classified as S block elements, and if it enters the P block elements, and the D orbital and the D block elements, and if the valence electron or an outermost electron enters the F orbital, then they are called F block elements, and for them this is the allowed seats. Okay, just to have an idea, so we have made seating arrangement for different kinds of elements depend upon their entry of an outermost electron into the what shell. Okay, right. Now please see, this is the exact members are sitting. Hmm? So totally we have 18 groups, right? So main group elements are group 1 and group 2. Group 1 and group 2. Okay. Then 13 to 18. 13 to 18. These are called main group elements or representative elements. Okay. S and P block are called as representative elements. Right. Now transition elements. Group 3 to 11. Group 3 to group 11, they are called transition elements because their properties are in between S block and the P block. They are neither too metallic, they are neither too non-metallic. Okay, so property changes, property transits, therefore they are called transition elements. And S block 1 and 2, 1 and 2, P block 13 and 18, P block 13 18, as per the table. uh, this periodic table is made. Okay, now D block 3 to 12, this is 3 starting from scandium, and 12 ends with zinc in the first row. In the same way, ytterbium to cadmium, and lanthanum to the mercury. So all these are D block elements. Here also from actinium to 112 elements. Okay, right. So we worry about only up to 92 uranium. We don't worry about the beyond excuse me 92, because up to 92 they are called naturally occurring elements. Beyond 93 they are called as man-made or synthetic elements. For timing they have made and studied, and afterwards they will vanish. Okay, that's why beyond 92 these elements are called transuranic elements. Okay, right. Now lanthanoids are from here. Okay, from 57, lanthanum place is here only after lanthanum, but because they resemble in a lanthanum, that's why they are called as lanthanoids. In the same way, this block is called as what? Actinoids. Actual place of this is this only, because we can't place all the 14 elements in this small block. That's why time being the arrangement is made here, but actual place is this one. This already we have discussed in the what chapter periodic table. Okay, just it's a small recap. Okay, now we'll go to the actual 11th class syllabus. That is, first we start with S block elements. For 11th class, S block and a few groups of P block is there, and in the 12th class remaining P block and D and F block is there. Okay, so let us start S block. The S block elements are those in which the last electron, outermost electron, enters the S orbital. Sodium, atomic number 11, 1s2, 2s2, okay, 2p6 and 3s1. 11th electron enters the S orbital, therefore it is classified under s block elements. In the same way, in elements where outermost electron enters the s orbital, they are classified under the s block elements. The s block consists of two rows. Okay, first row, second row, group number 1, group number 2, they are called as s block elements. Can accommodate maximum 2 electrons. Why only 2 electrons? Because the capacity of s block or this orbital is 2 on s2. Only 2 electrons can be accommodated. Accordingly, two blocks are made, two groups are made in the s block elements. Okay, right. The first block is called as what? uh, uh, s block elements with only one valence electron, and the second block is called as s block elements with the two valence electrons. The first element in both of these rows differ from the rest in certain properties. It is seen in the what on the modern periodic table that in a group, especially in the S block and the P block, first element normally it differs from other rest of the other members. Why? Because there are certain properties which are associated with the first member or the first element in every group of S and the P block, where because of its atomic size, because of its electronegativity, because of its ionization enthalpy, so on some parameters and on some ground, it not only shows the properties of its the same group members, it also shows properties of some neighboring group members. Okay, so that we study in the later part of this chapter. Okay, right. S block elements are mainly classified into two subgroups. Okay, first is alkali metals and the other one is alkaline earth metals. So group 1 is called as alkali metals, where members are lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. Francium is radioactive, therefore its chemistry is not developed that much. Those who are really interested in the study of francium, they are most welcome to take the topic chemistry of francium. But time being, study is not done that much in the field of francium. The same way, second block in S block is alkaline earth metals, right? Members are beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, and radium. Here also, the last member is radioactive. Why it is radioactive? That we have learnt in the physics, where in the nucleus of any element, if the proton-neutron ratio exceeds certain limit, they become unstable and they give certain kind of radiations which are known as alpha, beta, gamma, and they are called radioactive rays, and the elements which show this property, they come under the category radioactive elements. So in the S block, in the alkali metals, it is the francium, and in the alkaline earth metals, second S block element, it is the rubidium, it is the radium, which are called as the radioactive elements. Okay, right. Now we study first alkali metals found in group 1 of the periodic table. Earlier it was known as 1A. So to avoid the confusion between 1A and 1B, now as per the IUPAC, we have made straight away 1, 2, 3, 4 using the Hindu Arabic numbers we have classified. Okay, right. Also called as active elements because they are extreme left. I told you, extreme left, they have got highest, largest size. They can lose electron easily. So therefore, they are called as what? Very reactive elements. That's why they are called as what? Active elements of the modern periodic table. The most reactive elements of the modern periodic table are what? Alkali metals. Are very reactive metals that do not occur freely in nature. Definitely, when they are most reactive, they never occur in the free state. They always occur in the combined state. The alkali metals are softer than most other metals. So the softness, the tensile strength, or the hardness of metals is explained on what ground? How that their atoms join together. That is cohesive on the cohesive force theory. Okay. In the case of D block elements, metals are so close, so compact structure is there. That compact structure gave them hardness. Whereas in the case of alkali metals, size is not that size of atoms are not going for the close packing. This is called efficient packing. Okay, so this is making them very soft. They are so soft that you can cut with using knife. So they look like a candle. Okay, so they are called as candle metals. Best example is sodium. potassium, so soft you can cut with knife also, and they are so reactive. They are stored under the kerosene or some organic liquid, not under the water, because they are highly reactive towards the air and the water. The moment they come in contact with air or the water, they react vigorously, and enormous amount of heat is given out. So just to control them, just to as a precautionary measure, they are always stored under the kerosene or any paraffin liquid in the laboratory. Okay, right. That's why in the laboratory, whenever you go, don't touch the sodium and the potassium metal with bare hand. Either you can use gloves, that too dry gloves. Okay, otherwise use knife. Okay, right. Now this is electronic configuration of alkali metals. Remember, they show same electronic configuration. You check the outermost electronic configuration. It is 2s1, 3s1, 4s1, 5s1, 6s1 and 7s1. One electron in their outermost orbital. Because they have similar outermost electronic configuration, therefore they show similar chemical properties. Similar means not 100%. Okay, some similar properties are shown by alkali metals. So chemical properties are explained on the basis of electronic arrangement. Okay, right. Now let's go to some trends. Trend is it is a how they behave. Okay, in a group, not as an individual. See, in chemistry, as an individual they behave differently, and in a group they show different property. Okay, so there are two types of properties: group property and individual property. Okay, so how we behave in a group and how we behave an individual, like that. Okay, so in the same way elements also behave as an individual, separate its own properties, or if they are with other members in a group, they have to be with the group members and they have to show some group properties, and those group properties are explained again once again on the electronic configuration. For everything, it is the electron or it is the electronic arrangement or the electronic configuration that decides the properties. Okay, reactivity increases, size of the atom increases if you move from top to bottom. Okay, so when the size is increasing, electron is going away from the nucleus. That means nucleus is not controlling the electron, and that electron can be removed easily, therefore it is most reactive. Atomic and the ionic radii. Alkali metal atoms have largest size because they are extreme left. So what we have seen in the third chapter, when you move from left to right, atomic size either remains constant or slight decrease is there. Whereas if you move from top to bottom, addition of an extra shell, that means size increases. Okay, this increase in the size is more in the case of group compared to the period, but increase is there. Whether you are moving from what top to bottom, size is increasing. Whereas if you move from left to right, size is decreasing. That means extreme left elements, they have the largest size. Okay, so because of their largest size, electron is far away from the nucleus. So because electron is far away from nucleus, they can be controlled easily. Because they can be controlled easily, they can be removed easily. When they can be removed easily, they show very reactive properties. So it is because of their size. Okay, right. So on the modern periodic table, it is the what alkali metals which have largest size. Therefore, they are most reactive elements are the metals of the modern periodic table. Now, IE, ionization enthalpy, energy required to remove the outermost electron. Okay, then you tell me what type of trend is there? Because they have the largest size, because the an outermost electron can be removed easily. So naturally, what we expect, IE is less. Okay, but top to bottom it decreases, right? But if you compare IE of alkali metals with other members, it is definitely less. See, this is the graphical data available. Okay, here we have plotted IE of group 18 and group first group and the last group. Okay, group 1 and the group 18. See, their IE is very highest. See the value. Okay, in terms of more than 2000 kilojoules per mole, right? Whereas if you compare IE of the first group alkali metals, they are very less. Graphically, you can see here. Okay, so extreme end, extreme left very low, extreme right very high. Okay, as the atomic number increases from left to right, as the IE increases from bottom to the top, this is the shape of the graph you will get when you plot between these two. Okay, x and y axis. Enthalpy of hydration. Hydration. Whenever any metal or any non-metal or any element or any chemical dissolves in water, okay, so there are some energy changes. That energy change is called as what? Enthalpy of hydration. Okay, so the enthalpy of hydration is the enthalpy change when one mole of separated gaseous ions is dissolved completely in water to form one mole of aqueous ions. Okay, so when the one mole of ions are made to dissolve in water, that time whatever energy changes are there, those that energy change is called as enthalpy of hydration. And in the case of sodium, it is minus 406 kilojoules per mole, whereas in the case of chloride ion, it is minus 377 kilojoules per mole. That means whenever chemicals dissolve, energy is given out. That means enthalpy of hydration is exothermic in nature. Energy is given out. Now see here, trend of hydration enthalpy are the energy. It is decreasing from top to bottom. Okay, that's why he shows the downward arrow mark. Decreases down the group. That means in alkali metals, which one has got highest hydration enthalpy? It is the lithium. It is because when the size is small, it can polarize the water molecule. When it can polarize the water molecule, water can easily attaches to the structure of the small size cation. Therefore, it will have higher hydration enthalpy. So, smaller the size, more is the polarization, more is the attachment. Okay, then dissolution is more. That means those salts or those ions are easily soluble, and energy is given out, enormous amount of energy is given. That depends on what size. Now tell me, in the alkali metals, which has got the least size? It is the lithium. So because lithium is the smallest in size among the alkali metals, therefore its hydration enthalpy is the highest. Okay, right. That's why most of the lithium salts are hydrated. You will find water molecules in their structure. It is called as what? Water of crystallization. Okay. So whereas in the case of NaCl, KCl, we have not seen NaCl some H2O, KCl some H2O. No. Only in the case of lithium, we have seen lithium chloride 3H2O. Why this 3H2O? Because lithium ion being small, it can polarize the water molecule easily, so that it will make a bond with the lithium ion structure, and it is called as hydrated lithium 1 plus ion. Okay, right. Now we'll go to the physical properties. Alkali metals are different to typical metals such as iron and copper. This I already explained in the beginning only. Okay, right. They are soft, low density, low melting and boiling points. Okay. However, alkali metals do share a few properties with the typical metals, because they are metals. When they are metals, they have to show certain properties. For example, they conduct electricity, they conduct heat. All those properties are same. Whatever general properties of metals are there, that is shown by these metals. But in terms of some properties like the density, melting point, and the softness, they are slightly different. I told in the beginning, they show some general properties, they also show some particular properties. Now this is the flame test. Okay, this is flame test. Whenever you throw alkali metals compounds into the Bunsen burner, they show different colors. This different colors is because of what? Outermost electron is there, no? That will jump to the higher level. So when it goes to higher level and falls back, they give out a certain amount of energy in the form of wavelength or the frequency, which falls in the visible area of the spectrum, electromagnetic spectrum. That's why they look colorful. Among all these, the beautiful color is what? It is sodium color, which is called as golden yellow. You might have seen on the roads sodium lamps. Okay, sodium lamps which gives a golden yellow color. It is because of what? The sodium nature. every electron is different, every electron is unique. Okay, so depend upon the structure and the electronic configuration, how much energy required to excite to the higher level and to come back, so that all matters. Therefore sodium gives golden yellow color, which falls in the visible spectrum of mean electromagnetic spectrum. So with this we will wind up today's session, and then in the tomorrow we will discuss some other part of the s block elements. Till then, have a nice time. Okay, take care. Thank you and all.